Hi, everybody. This is Kate Haley with Glazers. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. Happy February. I know on the East Coast they've started getting a ton of snow. We haven't seen any snow yet here in the city of Seattle, so I'm wondering if it might happen one of these days. Anyhow, I hope everyone is doing well. It's been a little while since we've been live on YouTube, so we're looking forward to today's session because we're going to talk about technology and tools from Blackmagic Design. We have the Director of Sales Operations on the line, Bob Caniglia. And it'll be a fun little conversation. He's got some presentation. He's going to talk about some of the tools and tricks of the trade that are essential for production and posts in maybe your video editing, or even like we're running our live stream with one of the tools that Blackmagic Design makes. And he's using one too, of course. Before we get started, real quick, just to let you guys know, we're continuing to do a ton of these live events, so be sure to check out our website, glazerscamera.com/workshops, to see what's coming up next. And I also just want to let you know we are open 7 days a week. We have staff here who can answer your questions if you have follow-up or follow-up questions and want to give us a call. And you can also post your questions in the comments on the feed. As we go through this during the presentation, we're happy to take some Q&A. So get those questions posted while we're going through the presentation, either in the Facebook Live comments or on the YouTube chat. And we're just going to have some fun here today. So Bob, can you tell us a little bit about you and your role at Blackmagic, and then we could kind of dive into your presentation.
Sure. So hello from snowy New Jersey.
Oh,
normally I travel 130,000 miles a year, and now I'm doing Zoom calls with a green screen and a picture of my family room that I'm not allowed to be in. So, So I've been at Blackmagic almost 11 and a half years. I came with the DaVinci acquisition. So it's been a long time. And I was the youngest guy at DaVinci, and now I'm the oldest guy at Blackmagic. So here I am, which is not true because we bought other companies now, so I'm not the oldest anymore. So that's good.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I came to the company, as I say, with DaVinci, but I had a lot of background in not just post-production, but also production. I was at TD back in the black and white days, practically. And so when we acquired the ATEM switchers way back when, I was really excited about that. And so now we've got everything that all the good toys to play with. So this is no exception. So today I'm using an ATEM Mini Pro ISO to do my basically becomes my web interface. But today I'm even cheating a little bit because I'm not using the output of the ATEM Mini Pro. I'm taking the output of that into a video assist. And then with the video assist 3G and 12Gs, you can take the USB-C out of that, and then it becomes your webcam. So that's how I'm doing that. So what's cool about that is that I can actually put up the multi-view, so everybody could see everything, and you could see my bad green screen and all those good things. So that part's kind of fun. So yeah, I've been here 11 and a half years, and I do a lot of these, obviously now more so than before, and trade shows we'll get back to, I guess, sometime later, someday. But so I guess we'll start with some of the tools that wrap around the ATEM Mini line, which is helping a lot of people do Zoom calls, right, as we know. So if you want, I can just slide over there, unless there's anything you want to start with.
Yeah, no, just another quick reminder for those of you tuning in, if you have questions, just post those in the comments, and we'll do a little Q&A throughout the session, okay? But yeah, let's go for it.
All righty. So yeah, so I'm going to switch over to my keynote, and so that's another input on my ATEM. I think the best advice I can give everybody, and it includes everybody that works at Blackmagic, not just everyone else out there on the land, which is to follow us on Twitter at Blackmagic_news. That is where you find out about all the new updates. There was a latest version of the DaVinci Resolve 17 beta that went up a few hours ago. And if we have new product announcements, we will post on Twitter too, to say, hey, check out the upcoming announcements, those kind of things. So always a good place to find out what the latest news is and also the latest software updates that you may require. You know, actually, I forgot that I wanted to start with today's announcement. So I'll start with Resolve. We'll move on to ATEM later. So the Resolve software version 17 is still in beta, but it's actually really cool. It's got a lot of cool new stuff, not in just the color page, but we have new tools in the cut page. And we introduced something in November called the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor. Now, the Speed Editor is designed to work mostly with the cut page, but you can use it in the edit page as well. Really cool design, basically just a little add-on to go next to your keyboard so that you can have control. There's a lot of good buttons to, shortcuts basically, so you can mark in and out with physical buttons. So for those that are old enough like me to back in the linear edit days, this is a great little add-on. The jog shuttle knob is really, really nice. And I think once people get used to it, they're really going to be pleased with it. Now, it's normally going to be $295, but right now it's a bundled special where if you buy the DaVinci Resolve Studio software, you get the speed editor with it. So that is ongoing now. And there's lots of orders where we had a little part issue that we're working on. So we are getting them out as fast as we can, trying to meet demand, obviously. We also put in, obviously, more features in the edit page, Fusion visual effects. There's a new version of the standalone version of Fusion, and then there's always updates in the Fusion tab of DaVinci Resolve 17. And in the Fairlight audio page, we've added all kinds of new stuff in the Fairlight audio effects library, and there's a sound library. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Now, almost everything that you see is available in the free version of Resolve, which is amazing. If you buy any of the Pocket Cinema cameras, you get a copy of the studio version as well. But yeah, and then also we announced a new panel. So this is the new Fairlight desktop editor. So this is designed to be sort of a standalone all-in-one solution to give you physical faders and interfaces with Fairlight in Resolve. So this is a set of version 17. We haven't started shipping these, but hope to get those out fairly soon. So let me go back to this, and then I'll come back to me. So before I head on to the ATEM. So we started with Resolve, but that's all right. If anybody has questions here, we can always circle back to it later. So just wanted to pause for a sec, see if anybody had any questions on version 17.
We're good for right now. But like you said, if you do have any questions about DaVinci Resolve, we could actually get to those at the end too. So I'd say let's go ahead and talk. You said you were going to talk about the ATEM next.
Yeah. So now the ATEMs. So the ATEM started with the ATEM Mini, which is a little bit over a year ago, and it was, it had a webcam interface, and you had 4 HDMI inputs, and you could bring in embedded audio, or you could bring in 2 additional mic inputs. It has picture-in-picture. It has some cool effects, all from the front panel. You can also use it with the software, the ATEM software. The beauty of this is that it's very simple. It was designed for people who didn't even know they needed a video switcher. So people wanted to do picture-in-picture so they could show themselves gaming, things like that, and then live stream it via the USB connection to your computer. Then we came out with the ATEM Mini Pro, and this came out in April of 2020, just as we were kind of really getting in the full swing of the pandemic. We moved it up as much as we could to get it out faster, to have people be able to then live stream from the Ethernet port, and also to be able to record their stream with a USB-C connection that's on the back. So that was a big deal. That also introduced the ability to use the Pocket Cinema cameras with the ATEM Mini and ATEM Mini Pro. I'll get to that in a second. And then in the fall here, we came out, or I guess it was July, maybe it was July. Yeah, we came out with the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, and the ISO stands for isolated recording. So now what you do is you can stream out the Ethernet port, and then you're able to record all 4 inputs and the media pool onto a USB-C drive. So now you have basically ISO of all the inputs, a program output as you did it, and then it also creates a DaVinci Resolve project that you load into Resolve. You open it up in Resolve, and it brings in all the media, and it shows you how it was done live. So if there was a cut, there's a cut, there's a dissolve, that kind of thing. And then you could go back and tweak it. Now, if you're using Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras, you can also record in camera in Blackmagic RAW while you're doing this. So if you didn't want to use the H.264 files, you could actually relink it to the Blackmagic RAW files, and then you're able, and it would just relink in the project, and then you could do it at full resolution. So that is something that we introduced that is really clever, and people have definitely taken advantage of that. And this is the back of what a Pro and a Pro ISO look like. So they have the USB-C output and the HDMI out. And also on the Pro and the Pro ISO, you have the multi-view, and that's really cool. So that was something people asked for in the original design, but you know, we were able to implement it in the other designs. And now you have an HDMI output that shows you the multicam, and you can also see that you're recording and which disc it's recording, because you can actually hook it up to a to one of our Blackmagic MultiDock 10Gs that has USB-C. So now you're recording to both to the discs there, so that you can extend your recording. And it also shows if you're on air and what bitrate you're doing. So it really does provide a lot of great information, shows your audio metering and whatnot. And of course, the software, as you can see in the picture, is the same software that we use for all of the ATEM switchers. It just, you know, obviously on the larger switchers, you have more MEs, more inputs and things like that. But the software familiarity to anyone ever using an ATEM will be very familiar to them when they use the ATEM Minis. And then on the other side, people that get used to using ATEM Minis will be able to grow up the line all the way to the ATEM Constellation 8K. So it really is a good for backward and forward compatibility thing that not everybody does in switcher land, but we certainly do. And there's that. And so the good thing about adding the ability to control the Pocket Cinema cameras is that now you can use them as you would any other Blackmagic type camera, like a Blackmagic URSA Broadcast, or you know, URSA Mini Pro G2 or something like that, when you're using them with switchers. But now you can do it with the ATEM Minis and be able to control the camera itself. Now, certain cameras have lenses that are compatible, so you can actually do zoom and focus, which I can do with the 4K that I'm using shooting me right now. And you can also record, as I say, internally too, and it all works in the software. So people can control the ATEM, or control the Pocket Cinema cameras just like they do in the other camera line. So that was a really cool thing that we added. And then one thing, obviously, people, they always want more. And so we were hoping to give them more, and we did by introducing these new microconverters. Now, the microconverters are new. They start about $45. The bidirectional SDI to HDMI 3G converter is amazing because it'll take in HDMI or SDI in and out, but now you can use it with the other cameras, so you can put them into other switchers. So you could take an URSA broadcast, connect it with the SDI in and out, and then take the HDMI out to the ATEM Mini, and you can have full control of that camera. Or take any of the pocket cameras, HDMI out into one of the bidirectional, and then the SDI in and out back to one of the other ATEM switchers. And now you can control the pocket cinema cameras as studio cameras through the software. So that was a real big game changer that we introduced to complement the entire ATEM Mini line. But not only that, but also be able to incorporate the pocket cameras into the larger switchers with full control. And that's really kind of interesting when you're talking about the pocket cinema cameras, because they have a really wide ISO range. So for low light events and things like that. Now, obviously, during COVID times, there's been a lot of musicians and comedians and all kinds of people that have been doing sort of live from home work. But I think in the future, when we open things back up again, being able to put in some of these pocket cameras in a small setting, a bar, that kind of thing, and to be able to get really good image quality from a low light situation, but also be able to stream it. And you're talking a relatively low investment by using some of these, maybe some of the bidirectional converters, or also if you're just using an ATEM Mini and Mini Pro or ISO, or any of those, the ISO works really well because you could not only could you stream the event, but you could also record it, and then they could go back and master it in 4K or whatnot if they record internally too. So there's a lot of cool things that people can do. So that's been an evolution of the software from April, say, until we introduced these bidirectionals in November, of different stages of really progressing that workflow. Any questions, anyone?
None so far. We have a quiet group. So
that's cool.
And I know that we've been using some of that gear, especially the ATEM Mini Pro, the 595 one. Yeah, that one. It's the one we're using for all of our live broadcasts. So we can say it was, as soon as we got it in, we were like, okay, so we're going to use this. And it really answered a lot of problems for us as we were trying to sort out our own live setup. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I saw a guy today send a picture of 4 ATEM Mini Pro ISOs, I believe it was, that he sort of hodgepodge together to flow one into the next so he could get he called it the Hillbilly 4ME switcher, which is pretty funny. We get a lot of, I find it interesting to see the different uses that people do with the products. Even way back when, with our original ATEM TV studio, which was $995, and it had 4 HDMI and 4 SDI ins, and it was a single rack unit. And I got a call from a guy who directed Meet the Press, and he said, what if I went on site during an interview, a 2-camera interview, and I just, take the output of the cameras into this switcher, and I have the software, and I can record the output of the ATEM onto something, couldn't I just sit in the back of the room and cut? And I said, it's even easier than that. If you had camera 1 on program, camera 2 on preview, you basically just have to hit the space bar, and it would just cut between the two all day long. And he said it was amazing how much better and how much faster they could turn around interviews rather than having to ingest everything. They just, they basically, for the most part, would just have it done before as the interview was finished. So was the final output, which was great. And so, and the thing that he really liked was that he could put it in a briefcase and just take it with him everywhere.
Right. So. Yeah. I was surprised at how small. I used to work with a company called Creative Live, which some people tuning in may have heard of. And we had like massive switchers and all of this stuff. And so it's pretty amazing to see. I mean, the ATEM Mini Pro is like this big. It will fit in my purse. I
mean, yeah, that's it. It's, if that's my hand is, that shot is really zoomed in so you can see it, but it is so small. And the other thing that we did do in a software update recently was to be able to save all the settings and the media in the ATEM Mini Pro and ATEM Mini Pro ISO. And that really helps people that try to send the switchers out to somebody. And this way they don't have to plug in a computer at all. They just plug in their Ethernet port. Yeah. People used the ATEM Mini Pro because that was what was available at the time, and a Pocket 6K, the Emmy Awards. When they did that, they sent out a whole bunch of rigs to the nominees, and basically they just had to plug in their Ethernet from their home router, and because I was watching live and I thought some of these people look pretty good, and why is that? And so
they were using your gear.
Yeah, which was the joke my wife made, because maybe they're using Blackmagic. And I said, maybe they are. And then, maybe yes, they were. So there we go. Yeah, I thought it was too soon for that, but nope, they were totally on that. And it was really cool to see them use that, and some of the things that they still needed a computer at the time to reload things, but now they can deploy them without. And so I think that as we have progressed through the pandemic, we've been able to add features that were needed for now, but also needed in the future, regardless of what we're doing. Because I don't think that a lot of this will go away just because the pandemic's over.
We wanted to, yeah. Well, and I think it's also shifted. We've shifted kind of our business and our interactions. Like I also teach photography workshops, so like I'm doing that from Zoom, from home, or sometimes I teach for the store. But having those tools is really beneficial. So are there firmware updates then that are available for the ATEM system? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did we've done a couple of updates. One was to get the camera control. Then the next one for the Pro and the Pro ISO is to do the saving of the media. And that's why I encourage everybody to follow us on Twitter to find out the news and find out the latest software updates, because we're always adding something. And I, that's one of the things I really like about the company, is that we try to put in everything that we can. Somebody joked once that sometimes we turn sand into silicon, which unfortunately leads people to think that you can do everything that they want in things, but there's certain hardware limitations at some point. But well, it's nice to add.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. As someone who's worked in and around the industry for a long time, mostly on the still side of things, but working with film and then shifting to digital cameras, and just seeing that technology shift and grow, and that with a simple firmware update, I can now have different film simulations in my camera, or I can go from shooting a 15-second exposure to 15 minutes without needing a cable release. Like, just having these options available in all of our gear is pretty amazing. So, and lighting, and now we have these tools, and like you said, small, compact, powerful. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, and what I find interesting is that I've spoken to more people that aren't really in the video space. I've talked to a lot of musicians over this. Yeah, well, there you go. Right. But yeah, so because people have been forced to do it, and if they watch enough videos online, they can see that, some people look good, some people sound good, some people don't. Why is that? I plead with people all the time to, put some towels down in front of you, hang a coat behind the camera or the monitor that you're talking into, the computer you're talking into, just to try and dampen sound and things like that. I cheat because I have a microphone that's like just outside of camera range.
I'm wearing a lavalier. So,
there you go. I keep the lavalier at home when I have to work from home, and then I keep the because when I'm in the office, if I'm tied to the lavalier, I generally choke myself as I get up because I forget about that.
Oh, don't do that.
But yeah,
well, I'm on a wireless system too, so like I can get up and walk around the room if I need to, and all that. So yeah, it totally helps.
That helps. So yeah, so I think that it's interesting that some people have caught on and tried to step up their game, let's say. There are still some people, including people that are on the news, that are just not getting it yet. But, I don't know who is running sound that they don't hear that they're terrible. But you know, and it's hard because like during this live, I can't hear myself, right? Because that's just the way it is. We have what's called a mix minus. So I can hear all the audio that you or anyone else on the call would say, but anything I say, I can't hear the result. But there is that little check your audio thing in the beginning, so you can kind of,
Yes.
you know, get a clue.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't understand. You would think that somebody would record it and go, he doesn't sound very good. Wonder if we could do something about that.
Yeah, I
But,
mean, I'm always checking my audio because sometimes your mic stops working and you just don't know what'll happen. So having those contingencies is good too. So I'll share a comment from Rick and then we can go ahead and move on. Rick is a longtime customer and actually a gentleman that I've known for a long time here in Seattle. He's a photographer, but he has been using the ATEM Mini for both YouTube and Zoom sessions. He's making suggestions. He's asking about maybe an MV or program available on separate HDMI ports or 2 USB ports, like one for webcam or one for recording.
right. So yeah, obviously adding hardware to the current hardware configuration would be difficult.
Right.
But
that would be a different
you know,
version or variation.
yeah, it'd have to be what I call a forklift upgrade. Not that you need a forklift to lift this, but the idea, yeah. So I would, you know, let's hope what, you know, we don't know, we don't really talk about what the future holds, but I imagine that there will be future switchers and coming, and you know, I remember when the first one came out, people asked for a multi-view, and then, you know, and so each iteration gets more ideas and things, and
Right.
so yeah, we'll see. I mean, those are great suggestions, and I totally get it, and it would help me a lot myself doing what I'm doing. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I like the suggestions, and cool that people are using these products, not that aren't necessarily in the video biz, but
Right.
they're, you know, they're artists, they're professionals, and it gives them the ability to communicate with everybody without having to wear a mask all the time, which is
Right. Well, and I was just telling Jordan before we started this, I was like, and I've told this to Devin, who also worked here at the store. I was like, I'm pretty sure at some point I'm going to want to get one of these for myself, just to kind of up my game on my own system when I'm doing my own sessions at home. But, you know, one of these days. But I think about like it kind of like has really opened like your products up to a whole new customer.
Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting that we've seen a lot of different people pick up on it. So as I said, individuals, but also, you know, churches, you know, schools. I taught a class where I was teaching teachers how to use the equipment for when
Right.
they return to the classroom for their, you know, remote teaching. And I, you know,
Right.
that's going to continue, but that could continue sort of indefinitely.
Yeah, yeah. But we won't dive too far down that rabbit hole. Did you have
No.
other topics or products that
Yep,
you were going to talk about?
I do indeed.
All right. Well,
So I will.
let's go ahead and
Oh,
move
you
on
tell
and
me.
see what else you've got
Okay.
to discuss.
All righty. So, uh, in July we announced our new 12K camera. So the URSA Mini Pro 12K doesn't have just a cool logo. It's a cool camera. So this camera here is 12K capable, but it will shoot 8K and 4K with the full sensor. There's also Super 16 modes to get 6K, and it really has quite a lot of uses. I know a lot of people think of 12K and go, ugh, why do we need that? But there are a lot of cool uses for 12K, including being able to shoot 12K to finish in 8K. And believe it or not, there's a lot more 8K being done than people think, because you're able to use 8K on big screens. So if you're doing live concerts, some people are using 8K backplates to put in behind the musicians and things like that. The other thing that we're using 12K even for VFX plates for when they're doing the you know, virtual production, where you're able to use LED walls instead of green screen, and then you can live composite that way. And so they're using 12K for that. And the other thing is if you shoot 12K, like on a wide shot, you can zoom in to 9 4K segments. So it's kind of a really cool thing. Now, the one thing about 12K and all of these Ks is that storage becomes sort of a premium, but with Blackmagic Raw, we're able to record files that you can play back on laptops, which is amazing. And then we also introduced this Blackmagic URSA Mini Recorder so that you can put SSD drives and NVMe drives on the back or in, to record in there so you can get longer record times. But we also have, and that's $395 and it's starting to ship now, but we also have the ability to go out to, say, a USB-C disk. Now, this drive here, you could record to that and get some really cool high-end, 12K recordings, but then just plug it straight into your laptop. And that is something that's really cool. And, as I say, 12K, we didn't just do 12K because it was a cool number. We did it because of the ability to overshoot for 8K. And also, it just becomes you don't have to worry about your resolution, so it's kind of future-proof in a lot of ways. And at the price point, I mean, $10,000 is a lot for a Blackmagic camera, but not necessarily for a camera that can shoot 12K and do all the things that it does. And the software in Resolve obviously is used, and you can edit in 12K on a laptop, and that's really cool. Blackmagic Raw started a couple years ago in development, but it was in development in anticipation of 6K and 12K and the rest of it in Blackmagic Raw. So shooting those files and being able to deal with it in your computer without needing to go out and spend a fortune on a new laptop and things like that, and being able to use it on a laptop period with file sizes that large. So that has been a plan that we put in place from a couple years back as we were developing the sensor, knowing that we were getting to this end game. And so it's really cool. I know a lot of people at home are like, 12K, who needs it? But there are a lot of people using it actively now. And who knows what the future holds for everybody. So
All right.
see if anyone has
no
any
questions on that. Sorry. I literally was just coughing as you were like,
I
was like, oh my God, that's so awkward.
No, that's all right. I mean, for a second, I just thought that we went away and, I was talking to myself.
No. We have even more viewers than we did a few minutes ago. So
that's always awesome.
Jordan was telling me, we were chatting a little bit. He's like, we carry the camera and the recorder adapter. It sounds like the camera has done pretty well so far. So,
Yeah, we're still building them as fast as we can. We're trying to clear out that backlog. And, I think that we were pleasantly surprised about the uptick from that camera. The good thing about the cameras, all of the cameras, is that the software that runs the cameras is all written off of the same operating system. So when you move between cameras, the settings are all very familiar. So if you have multiple Blackmagic cameras on set, if you have a 12K and a Pocket 6K or any of those, you'll be able to switch between cameras real easily in software because it all looks the same and there's a lot of all the same feel. So it makes it easier for people to use. And again, that's not always true with certain manufacturers that, suddenly you're like, is this the same brand? How come these things are different?
So different. Well, and I'll also mention, Jordan reminded me that those cameras are also in our rentals department. And I know for a lot of people who are shooting video and wanting to use those higher end cameras that you might not have the budget for, our rentals department is a great place to be able to use it for specific projects where you need that extra bit. And that could apply to anything, but we do carry, we carry so much cinema gear, audio equipment, monitors, all the things. Mm-hmm. So if you're very curious about trying out some of this gear that maybe doesn't fit into a day-to-day budget, but for some of those bigger projects, our rentals department is definitely a great resource for that.
Oh, definitely. I think renting a camera and a lens combination, or if you own a camera but you need a lens for something specific, the rental opportunities are great because it really does help. And you know, at some point, maybe you decide to buy it down the road, but getting started, it's a real easy and fairly inexpensive way to test stuff out and to
Right.
elevate your game.
Well, and like I said, not every project calls for maybe a 12K camera, but you
Right.
know, or until you've saved up the money. Anyhow, it's just another way to get access to some of that gear that you're really wanting to try and experience too. So, yeah.
Totally true. And I think that that helps with people to if they need like I talked to a guy once who was going to shoot with an URSA Mini Pro G2 when they first came out, and he asked if there were any rental possibilities. He owned one camera, but he wanted to use a second camera on some scenes in a feature he was shooting, and I said, yeah, that's a great way to do it. You know, there are plenty of places that rent them, so always a good option for that B camera or C camera or CD.
Yes, absolutely. All right. What else you got to talk about?
Well, the future is bright. We have to wear shades, but I'm not really sure what we have coming up next.
Okay.
You know, we never really talk about that, but I always have this feeling that something's always around the corner. You know, it's fun when you come in and there's a tweet about something coming up. Right now, a lot of us have been playing around with DaVinci Resolve 17, as I said, and that has been great to play with some of the new tools that are in there. We can consistently put out videos, and then of course there's lots of people that share other videos about how to use all the tools. I always say Google's my assistant editor. Sometimes I don't use Resolve that often, and
Yeah.
occasionally I'm stuck, and instead of asking somebody I work with, I'm like, what will the internet tell me? Oh, look at that, it will tell me things. So
Right.
that's
Yeah,
always cool.
I do that a lot too. And I've actually been thinking about trying out DaVinci Resolve. I record some videos. I've been trying to make videos for my own YouTube channel. And I've had multiple people tell me they love it, obviously, for the color grading, because I think that's how that program started, right? Was
Yeah,
more of
so
a
that's the
color
thing.
grading
Yeah,
tool.
it was a color grading only tool that was sold as a turnkey system for $500,000. And today it does 2 pages of editing, color correction, visual effects, audio, all kinds of stuff. And the free version is free, obviously, and the studio version comes with the cameras, and you can really get started. I encourage everybody to download it and give it a whirl. There's plenty of tutorials. We have stuff online in our own on our site, and a lot of videos on how to get started. And I think that once you get used to it, it's pretty easy to use, and also the ability to output anything. That's really where the big thing is. When Final Cut Pro introduced Final Cut X or 10, whatever you call it, there was no way to move a project from the old 7 to 10 unless you went through Resolve. So backwards and forwards. So initially that's the way to do it. So Resolve has become a Swiss Army knife for everybody. But now that we've added all these other pages to it, it really has become an all-in-one NLE that can't beat the price, that's for sure. And the speed editor now is a bonus. $295, cool. Get the full version of the software and the speed editor.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, and we're starting to build out other content for the YouTube channel here for Glazers. And we're working in some different software, of course, a lot of the Adobe stuff. And, but it, like I said, it's been on my mind to download it and try it out. So if you haven't tried DaVinci Resolve, how long is your trial period? Is it probably 30 days?
No.
Oh, it's free. Wait, there's a free version.
Free version. Yep. DaVinci Resolve is the free version. DaVinci Resolve Studio is the paid version. Okay. And as I say, you get it with the cameras included, and otherwise it's $295. But if you order now, you'll get the speed editor. So yeah, so the free version is great because it'll do everything up to 4K output. You can look at any footage, but you can only output up to Ultra HD. But for most people, that's probably fine. And you can even link directly to your YouTube channel and just hit, render and publish, and boom.
Nice. That's cool. Okay. Well, if you're tuning in, if you have any last minute questions, now is the time, because we're about to wrap this up, it sounds like. The audience has been quiet, as I suspected might happen, but can always count on Rick, especially because he's tuned in at several of these events we've done over the past year, to have some input and questions. So with that said, I think what we'll do is wrap this up if you don't have anything else. Okay.
Nope, that's it. But
All
I
right.
look forward to coming back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your time. And it's always great. This is also educational for me. I get to learn a little bit about hardware and technology and all that good stuff. And so we just appreciate your time and energy. Oh, wait, Rick's got one more question. Hurry up, Rick. What you got? But no, it's really great to collaborate with brands like you guys to bring education and knowledge. I know in the past we've had ambassadors come on, and just having that variety of like a little bit of education about the product and the product line and what you can do with it, and then also the creative side of things is really important. So I'm waiting for Rick to type his question, but Rick, we're running out of time. Here we go. We got a thanks from the audience. Do the video assist boxes support both recording and USB streaming out? Do they have just
Yes.
one USB port?
So they have one USB port, but the video assist you can record internally because they have you can plug in an SSD drive. You can plug in, you can put in a USB. What are they? SD card. Sorry, SD card. So you can record on the SD card, and then output. You can't output a stream and record to a USB-C because there's only the one port.
Okay.
But you could record internal, and I've done that. I've recorded to the disk, the SD cards, and there's on the 7-inch versions, there's 2 SD cards, so it would do continuous record, and then you could also do the stream out.
Cool. So Rick, hopefully that answers your question about that. And just thank you everyone who tuned in today. Thank you, Bob, and thank you to everyone at Blackmagic, and to especially Stephanie, because I know we had a lot of emails to make this happen. And we'll look forward to having you guys on for something down the line. Again, if you are hanging out at home, you have some time, you want to learn about photography or video or lighting, head to our website, check out other upcoming events. We're experimenting with some paid events too, with access to loaner gear and 2-part sessions where you can like create work and then have a photo critique. We have 2 or 3 of those coming up. One starts actually on Saturday. I am doing a lighting demo with Devin on Saturday afternoon. So there's just a lot happening. So check out our website, glazerscamera.com, for upcoming events and workshops. Thank you all for tuning in today. Have a great afternoon.